Alright, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, no? Okay. Today class, no, our discussion is all about the MAS or the MS CPA review, no? Yung tinatawag nating absorption and variable costing. Again, it is what you call absorption and variable costing. Again, absorption versus the variable costing. So, yan yung ating discussion for today. No? Ano pa kakaiba ng absorption costing and at the same time, the variable costing? No? So, that would be our lesson for today. Sige. So, ano ba class ang ibig sabihin ng absorption and variable costing? Sa ibang libro, tinatawag daw tong full costing. Okay? So what do you mean here of full costing? Ibig sabihin, we record everything. Okay? In the variable costing, tinatawag naman itong direct costing. Alright, it is what you call direct costing. So again, absorption costing is a full costing, variable costing is about direct costing. Okay. In terms naman of the absorption costing, no, it is for external reporting. Okay. It is for your external reporting. Meaning to say, yan ay for GAA purposes. No? Pag sinabi naman class na variable costing, it is for internal reporting. Okay. Ito naman class ay tinatawag natin internal reporting. Okay. So, yung class yung pinaka-basic natin, no? So, pag sinasabi natin absorption and the variable costing, no? You have your full costing, external reporting, it is under GAAP, while the variable costing is a direct costing. So it is also known as a direct costing, no? And for internal reporting purposes, 'di ba? And we all know, no? Pag sinasabi natin uh, external reporting, no? We follow here yung tinatawag natin traditional format, no? In computing for our traditional format in computing for our income statement, 'di ba? How about in terms of variable costing, no? We follow contribution margin format. Okay? So we follow contribution margin format. Okay. So in the absorption costing class, no, as a traditional format, ano mga class yung formula natin? 'Di ba? You have your sales, correct? You have your cost of goods sold or cost of sales. All right? Ano pa? You have here what you call your gross profit, no? Sales minus cost of sales. You have your gross profit and you have your expenses and you have now your net income. 'Di ba? That's the formula in terms of variable costing as traditional format. Okay. How about naman in terms of variable costing, no? So ito naman class, no? Tinatawag din natin contribution margin format because it is what you call cost behavior. Cost behavior at the same time you have cost functions. So ano class yung formula class ng ating contribution margin format? 'Di ba? We have our sales, we have our variable cost, all right? We have our contribution margin, we have our fixed cost, and the last one is about net income. 'Di ba class? Yan lang yung formula natin, no? Particularly for sales minus variable cost is you have your CM minus fixed cost, and we have now our net income. So class that's only the basic, no? So pag sinasabi nating variable in absorption costing, a full costing, external reporting purpose, traditional format, and we follow for GAAP purposes, while variable costing, direct costing siya, internal reporting siya, and we will follow in contribution margin format. Pero class, if you notice, ano dito yung pinaka importanteng malaman natin, no? Pag sinasabi natin or when we say about absorption and variable costing. Okay. Class, meaning to say, no, in terms of the variable and absorption costing, no, very important here is the treatment of our fixed overhead, no. Please take note of this class, no, the treatment of our fixed overhead. So what do you mean class of the treatment of our fixed overhead? In the absorption costing daw, yan ay to be considered as a product cost. Okay. But in terms of a variable costing, we consider it as a period cost. Okay. My question, no? So ito class yung treatment niya, no? Is the treatment of our fixed overhead we're in. It is considered as product cost and period cost. Okay. Babalikan natin class, no? Babalikan natin yung definitions of product and period cost. Ano nga class ang ibig sabihin ng product or period cost, no? Sige, balikan natin, no? So, what do you mean class of a product cost or a period cost? Alright, ito tayo. So, ano ba class ang ibig sabihin ng product or period cost? 'Di ba class? Pag sinabi nating product cost, alright? So, pag sinabi natin class product cost, alright? And also period cost, no? Meaning to say, ito ay to be considered as inventoriable cost. Okay, ito class ay to be inventoriable, no? Okay? So, yan ay part of the inventoriable. Alright. So, meaning to say, yan ay part muna of our inventory. And eventually, pag nabenta na, magiging cost of goods sold. How about the period cost? Ito ay to be expense outright. So, ibig sabihin, yan ay hindi part of our inventory. Meaning to say, diretso class sa ating cost of goods sold as expense. Okay. Kadalasan class, ano yung mga product cost or inventoriable cost? That's your total manufacturing cost or TMC. Ano nga yung TMC usually? Your direct materials, your direct labor, and overhead. Expense outright, usually that's your SG&A. So what do you mean of SG&A? Your selling, your general, and your admin expense. Again, in terms of the product cost, NI to be part of your inventory. While period cost, it is to be expense outright. Okay? So, we need to say inventory muna, followed by cost of sales. While in the period cost, you have your cost of goods sold or cost of sales. So that's the first thing, no, that you need to consider as product cost. Meaning to say, in terms of the absorption costing and the variable costing, the treatment of our fixed costs is that it is to be a product cost, while in the variable costing, considered as a period cost. Please take note of this. Ito class, ang pinaka-importante, no? Tandaan in your product or yung tinatawag nating absorption and variable costing. Yan ang pinaka-importanteng tandaan class, ha? Okay. Sige. Next one tayo, no? So ano pa? So very important also class that in terms of the product cost or what you call your period cost, no? Again, the treatment of your fixed cost. No? I will give you a sample, no? Halimbawa class, you have here your production, no? For example, you have here your production. Let's say your production, sorry, not a peso, ha? Kasi ito ay units, okay? For example, you have a production of 10,000 units, na for example. Okay? Then you have, let's say, sold, no? Or unit of production, unit sold. Okay? Let's say you have 8,000 units. Okay. Halimbawa class, you have your direct materials, let's say 10 pesos, no? Direct labor, let's say 20 pesos. You have your variable overhead, sabihin natin you have 25 pesos, no? Then you have your fixed overhead. Let's say for the purpose of computations, I will put here 100,000. Then we have our fixed cost per unit. Sorry, not fixed cost per unit, but fixed cost SG&A. So you have fixed cost SG&A, selling, general, and admin expense. Sabihin natin 50. Alright. Then, of course, we have our variable SG&A. Let's say 15 pesos. Okay? Yan. Of course, don't forget our selling price. Let's say the selling price here is at 150 pesos. Okay. So that's the first thing, no, na given in this one. No? What if ito class yung given natin, no? Unit of production, you have 10,000. The unit sold is 8,000. You have your direct materials of 10, direct labor of 20, variable overhead of 25, fixed overhead of 100,000, the fixed selling and admin expense of 50,000, variable SG&A is 15, and selling price of 150. Alright, paano pag ganun class ang given natin? Okay? Ayan. Meaning to say, now of course, unang-una, we compute first for our product cost. Okay. We compute first for our product cost. Again, absorption costing, and you have your variable costing. Direct materials ba? Part ba siya ng product cost? If you're talking here of absorption costing, the answer is yes. So I put here 10 pesos. Of course, I will put here 10 pesos. Direct materials. How about your direct labor? Kasama ba? Yes, 20 pesos. Direct labor is at 20 pesos. How about your variable overhead? Kasama? Yes, variable overhead. Yes, okay. Class, ito na, no? Fixed overhead. Okay. Please take note of this. To compute for the fixed overhead, I will divide it by 10,000 units, not the units sold. Okay? Bakit nga class? No? Babalik tayo doon sa ating babalik tayo doon sa discussion at sa cost behavior, no? The fixed overhead is not dependent with our units sold. Why? Because fixed overhead will remain the same regardless of the activity level. Meaning to say, yan ay nakadepende lang sa ating unit produced, no? Hopefully class naintindihan niya class Okay. So that's the first thing, no? So meaning to say 100,000 divided by your 100,000. Of course, it is 10 pesos, no? So you have 10 pesos, diba? Okay. So I will put here 10 pesos. Okay? Just divide it na. So you have your fixed overhead. So meaning to say you have 10. Okay. How about in terms of the variable costing? Di ba class, sabi ko kanina, in terms of the variable costing, yan ay hindi kasama, no? Okay? Again, hindi kasama class as product cost if you're talking here with our variable costing. Okay. Walang problema in terms of the fixed SG&A and the variable SG&A. Hindi naman talaga kasali yan, no? Kasi product cost, ito ay to be expensed outright. So, magkano class yung total in terms of the product cost? So, sa absorption costing, you have your 10 plus 20 plus 25 plus 10. So, you have here 65 pesos. Okay. How about naman in terms of the variable costing? You have your 10 plus 20 plus 25. You have 55. Class, ano yung difference ng dalawa? The difference here is worth 10 pesos. So, saan yung nakaka-difference? Your treatment of your fixed overhead. Because in the absorption costing, you are considered as product cost while variable costing is 0. Okay, clear tayo class Okay, sige. So, next thing na gagawin natin is to compute for our net income. Okay, so compute first for our net income. Okay, unang-una, yung ating absorption costing. Magkano yung sales? Okay, sige, babalik tayo dito class Your sales here is worth 150. So you have here 150 to be multiplied by magkano class? How much would be your sold? 8,000, no? So unit sold here is worth 8,000. So 150 to be multiplied by 8,000, magkano yan? So 150 times 8,000. Alright? So this one is worth 1,200,000. Alright, ganun din class sa variable costing for sure. Your sales here is worth 1.2M. Alright. How about your, of course, Absorption costing yan. Doon tayo sa ating shortcut. You have our cost of goods sold. Okay. Magkano nga class yung ating product cost? 65 and 55. Okay? So you have here your 65 and we have here our 55. Okay. So paano yun, sir? So cost of goods sold here is 65 to be multiplied by 8,000. Okay. Magkano yan? 65 times 8,000. You have here 520,000. Alright. So magkano class yung ating gross profit? No? So 1.2 minus 520, you have here 680,000. So, meaning to say, you have 680. Don't forget that you have also your fixed OPEX, no? Ano yung mga OPEX natin? Of course, yung ating FSGNA and variable SGNA. How much would be your FSGNA? 50 and 15. Alright, so of course this one is worth 50,000. This one is 15 to be multiplied by 8,000. 15 times 8,000. Magkano yung class? 120,000. So magkano class yung ating net income? 680 minus 50 minus 120. So ang ating net income under absorption costing is worth 510,000. Okay. So you have here 510,000. How about naman in terms of the variable costing? Okay? You have here our variable cost. Magkano nga class? Yung ating is 55, no? Meaning to say 55 times 8,000. So magkano to? 55 times 8,000. You have here 440,000. Magkano class? Oh, hindi pa tapos yan, no? That's lang yung ating overhead, no? Please remember, class, no? Again, please remember, mayroon pa tayong tinatawag na variable SG&A. Pag sinabi class, variable cost, overhead, and SG&A. Okay? Class, huwag kakalimutan, ha? Okay. So, ito class is your variable overhead and variable SG&A. Magkano class yung SG&A? 15, di ba? So, you have 15 to be multiplied by 8,000. Again, sige, para lang maintindihan natin. Sige, para maintindihan natin for 40. Okay? So, para maintindihan natin, sige, I will arrange na lang, no, para mabilis tayo. Okay? So, in terms of the variable cost, number one is you have your overhead. Magkano yung overhead? 55 times 8,000, no? You have here 440,000. And you have here your SG&A variable, which is at 15 to be multiplied by 8,000. Magkano yan? 120,000. Magkano class yung ating contribution margin? So, if you have 1.2 minus 440 minus 120, ibig sabihin, our contribution margin is worth 640,000. Please remember, mayroon pa tayong fixed overhead and fixed SG&A. Magkano class yung ating fixed costs given? 100 and 150. You have here 100,000 and we have here 50,000. Magkano class yung net income natin sa ating variable costing? Okay, so you have 640 minus 100 minus 50. Magkano to class? You have 490. Okay. Class, if you notice, 510 for absorption costing and variable costing is you have 490. Ibig sabihin, there would be difference of 20. Okay? Sa tingin nyo, class, saan nanggaling yung 20,000 na difference? Dito yan, class, no? In your cost of goods sold, you have 65 here. Ito naman ay ginawa natin as 55. Okay. I will prove that the difference is 20,000. Paano, sir? I will prove na the difference between your net income. Ito yung class yung shortcut ha. Difference in net income. No? How do we compute for the difference in terms of your net income? The formula, ito class yung shortcut natin. No? Again ha, ito class yung shortcut na gagawin natin. No? So, paano sir yung shortcut na gagawin natin in terms of the difference in terms of our net income? So, what we will do here is to get your ending inventory. Alright, so to get your ending inventory, just multiply it by your fixed overhead rate. Okay, sir. Bakit po fixed overhead rate? 'Di ba? The difference between the two is the fixed overhead rate. 'Di ba? Yes. Okay. So ano class yung ending inventory natin? As we all know, your production is 10,000. Your units sold is 8,000. Ibig sabihin, meron pa tayong natirang 2,000. And that would be part of your ending inventory. 2,000 to be multiplied by 10 pesos. 'Di ba? Fixed overhead rate, babalik tayo kanina. Makano yung fixed overhead rate? 10 pesos. Ibig sabihin, the difference in your net income is 2,000 times 10 is you have 20,000. Tama ba class that the difference is 20,000? The answer is yes. Again, tama ba that the difference is 20,000? The answer is yes. Ano yung formula? Ending inventory times fixed overhead rate, 10,000 minus 8,000, and you have 2,000 to be multiplied by 10, and you have now 20,000. Yan class ang difference ng dalawa. But may question, no? Paano mo masasabi that mas malaki dapat ang absorption costing mo sa variable costing? Okay, I will put here unit unit produce and unit sold. Now, I will put unit produced, unit sold. Okay, I will put here net income under absorption costing and variable costing. Okay, class. Ang sabi dito class, if the unit produced ay kaparehas lang ng unit sold, the absorption costing net income is the same as variable costing net income. Pag parehas daw class, if there's no ending inventory, magkaparehas lang ang net income nila. If the unit produced is more than your unit sold, okay, absorption costing net income is more than the variable costing. Di ba class kanina, if you go to our problem, mas malaki ang production mo with units sold. That's why mas malaki dapat ang net income ng absorption mo sa variable. Tama ba? Yes. Okay. If the unit produced naman is less than your unit sold, meaning to say, the absorption costing net income should be less than your variable costing. My question class, possible ba yan? The answer is yes. If wala tayong ending inventory. Alright? So to summarize everything no, about this one, no, particularly about the absorption and the variable costing, again, in the absorption costing, it is for external reporting purpose, while for variable costing, it is for internal reporting purpose. No? So sabi nga nila, in the absorption costing, dapat lahat, no, all should be included as part of your cost. Kasi importante naman yan, no? Especially in terms of our production. But in terms of the variable costing, the reason why hindi sinasali yung fixed cost kasi sabi nga sa cost behavior, fixed costs will remain the same regardless of the activity level. So again, hopefully you have learned no, about this subject, no, the variable in absorption costing. So again, thank you very much and see you in my next video. Hopefully, please like and share my Master Accounting by J. Manlopo. Thank you very much and see you. Bye-bye.